This session is going to look at critical appraisal. First thing I want you to do is to open up Google, make sure that you've selected UK only and type in critical appraisal. Ignore the drop-down list of options because we're just looking at critical appraisal, and click to get the drop-down list. You'll see that a list comes up with various options. Now, the list that we've got in front of us today has ordered them in a particular way, but no doubt when you come in this list may change, as it seems to change on a daily and weekly basis. However, the first one we want to look at is what is critical appraisal, and this is currently the top of my list. So if you could click on that and access that one. This paper on critical appraisal is quite new. It was completed in February 2009. It's quite a detailed list of information about critical appraisal, and it's something that would be quite useful for you to save so that you can revisit. It very clearly explains to you what critical appraisal is and will help you when you come to need to use this in your future assignments. So I would suggest that you save this paper in your favourites section. I now want you to return to your Google list. So if you can go back to the top and click to go back. And this time we're going to look at critical appraisal tools. And the first tools that we're actually going to look at is actually the second on my list, which is the CASP tools, Critical Appraisal Skills Programme. Now this is being developed as a set of tools for both health and social care. And here you can see on the left of this screen for CASP is critical appraisal tools, and if you click on that you'll find that there becomes a list available for you to actually look at of appraisal tools. And the first one we're going to look at is randomised control trials. They're all very, very similar, but what they do is they come up with 10 questions to help you through the process of critical appraisal. So you can see that they are ordered in a way that asks you questions where you can answer very clearly, yes, you can see why that particular study is being done, no you can't, or you can't tell. It's entirely up to you as an individual to pick which tool is going to be most useful to you. So what I'm going to show you is the range of options available, and future studies may well come up with different tools. It doesn't matter which tool you use. It is entirely up to personal preference, which is why I'm going to show you a range of them. All the tools do the same thing. They assist you in the process of critical appraisal, but they very often do it in slightly different ways, in a slightly more structured way. So this is just to help you through this process. So having returned to the Google critical appraisal site, the next one I want to look at on mine is here, which is the SIGN methodology checklist. So if you could click on that. As you'll note, this is the Scottish one, and again has a number of different checklists and notes for different types of studies. If we go back into the randomised control trial again, you'll see there's a checklist. Again, it's asking you questions, it's guiding you through the process of critical appraisal. And as I said before, these are all examples of tools. We click to go back, we can look at it in a slightly different format, which is in Word, and we can look at notes, which again will guide us through what we're actually looking for. So if we return back to the original Google search, and this time we're looking at the CEBM website. This is the Centre for Evidence-Based Mental Health website. So again, if you click on this one and open it up, you'll see you come to the website, and on the left side there are critical appraisal sheets. If you click on that, again you can see there's a range of different sheets, and this time if we look at one of the other ones, I've opened up the systematic review sheet and this gives you again a range of questions. It shows you where to find the information within it and then gives you again the yes/no answers. So it's giving you again that guide through the critical appraisal process when you're looking at the papers. So if you shut this down and return back to the original search. The next site that we're looking at is actually on a different page of Google on my original search, and this is actually on page 3 because I'm looking for a critical appraisal site in Cardiff. As you remember, I've said that trusted sites are university sites, and this is at the Cardiff University, and again is looking at critical appraisal of healthcare literature. So this is again information about critical appraisal, tells you things to actually look at, gives you some sort of checklist to go through, and then has hyperlinks through to other forms. What you'll find is that universities have acknowledged that there's only so many ways to actually look at critical appraisal, and therefore they're using one another's forms. If you find something on a university website, it's likely to be of a good standard. So this is the information that's available on the Cardiff University website. This one is now currently on page 2 of my critical appraisal site, and this is the Salford University critical appraisal tool. So if you click on this, this is slightly different because when you first come into it at the top, you'll see that it's actually listed like this. This splits things down into quantitative, qualitative and mixed design. If you click on the quantitative, it comes up again with a tool, but you do have to scroll down. It doesn't open in a new page. Again, it gives you a list of questions that you can ask about the study, so it's guiding you through that process of critical appraisal. If we return back to our original Google search, this time the site that I'm looking for is on page 4 of my search. It's the University West of England, so you should be looking for this web address. And if we click on this, this again takes you into the University West of England, which has got Bristol, and looks at data analysis. And this has got examples of frameworks. If we click here, and we'll see an example of a framework. As you can see, it asks very similar questions. But then it's actually got a worked example, and you may find this actually quite useful to actually look at. You'll see that it's actually making comments about the literature review, the introduction, but perhaps most importantly down here, it's actually starting to use references. Now, whilst this is actually making comments about the standards of the research, what you need to be aware of is that for you as students, you would need to be actually referencing this with academic text. So you can see here there's an example of critical appraisal of a qualitative paper, and it's starting to use academic text here to support the points that are being made. As you can see from the Google search that we've done, there are over 3 million hits for critical appraisal. There are therefore a lot of information for you to be able to consider. And I'm not going to go into any further sites. That doesn't mean to say you can't have a look at them. It's just that there are so many to choose from. What I'm now going to look at is to look at the Cochrane Centre. Some of you may well have heard of the Cochrane Centre, and for some of you it'll be completely new. But the Cochrane Centre actually looks at research that's done particularly in health, and it's of a very high standard. So I want you to actually now type into the Google box Cochrane Centre and do the search. And this should come up with the home for the Cochrane Centre, and I want you to click on that. I want you to open the tab up which says Cochrane Library, and now we're going to do a search again for critical appraisal. And the first one on the list is the one that I'm particularly interested in, which was done in January 2010, which is teaching critical appraisal skills in healthcare settings. And this actually looks at why we're doing critical appraisal and the difficulties in first coming to terms with critical appraisal and getting to grips with how we'll actually do it. So this might be quite a useful article for you to actually have a look at and read through.